My name is Lily Romero, and I have been in clinical research. I was trying to say, well, should I go ahead and let them know how long I've been in clinical research? I've been in clinical research since 1977, so I have seen some huge changes in terms of clinical research, regulations, requirements, best practices, etc. Originally, I started off as an allergy physician assistant, and that was what I was hired as. And on day two, or actually day one, my doc said, oh, by the way, we're doing clinical research. Here's a protocol. Here's some pages that you're supposed to fill out, and kind of good luck. Oh, there is one patient in hospital, just to let you know. And so very fortunate for me, I had great monitors, and I've always, throughout my whole career in clinical research, had great mentors. As our clinical research department grew, because that was really their second or third clinical research study that they were doing, I started to become involved in creating budgets. So I created budgets at sites. I stayed with my group for over 20 years. That's how much I loved being at site and then working with patients, although probably towards the end I was doing more administrative than anything else. I then moved on to, which most people, if you are going to go to, as we call it, the dark side, more of the industry side. I then went on to a CRO and again did more budgets and such there. And from the CRO I went to a sponsor and was not as involved in budgets, although my focus there was training. So I did have quite a hand in helping to prepare budget talks, budget preparations, etc. Training for the group. Let's see what happened there. Then I went and joined Barnett, and that's how my affiliation with Barnett has continued. It's been a wonderful affiliation. I've always and still enjoy working with them. I worked for a number of CROs, and then just for some of you that are wondering, well, gosh, I don't ever really work with a lot of people who are not in contracts or finance department. There are some CROs where the CRA is actually the one that manages the budgeting and the negotiations. So I'll tell you how that works at some of the, they're usually the smaller CRO types. But I am hoping that we will have, as I said, an energetic discussion, or at least an energetic session, that you'll get some tips. A lot of this is really basic. A lot of it is really common sense. But I hope to bring some ideas or issues that you can think about if it's not included in your current day-to-day tasks. Okay? So just a little bit of background. Trial delays, and I'm sure many of you, if you've been in the field long enough, realize that many studies don't start on time and oftentimes don't end on time. However, according to a CenterWatch survey, and this is from a 2012 survey, budgeting and contracting remains the top cause of study delay. They polled 950 sites, and 49% pegged contract and budget negotiations and approval as a key factor in study delay. It just edged out recruitment. So you're thinking 2012, what's like happened in the last few years? Well, in 2017, if you went to the ACRP meeting, they talked about another CenterWatch ACRP, sort of another poll that they took regarding, what are the delays, and it was again substantiated and verified that 63% of large sites felt that contract negotiations was an issue, was the top issue in terms of delay. 60% of those large sites felt that budget negotiations was an issue, and then the numbers were 54% for smaller sites, so these would be the non-academic sites, and 56% for budgets. So again, the numbers are actually higher, but still reporting that contracts and budgets are still the number one delay from the site perspective, and I have to admit from the sponsor perspective too, study startup. So what is the cost of trial delays? In terms of startup and enrollment challenges, these really contribute heavily to kind of the clinical trials lasting. So 42% longer than expected in phase 1, 31% longer in phase 2, 30% beyond planned deadlines in phase 3 on average. And the numbers, again, and I looked them up recently to see if there have been any big changes. Each day, and there haven't been, each day a clinical trial extends over schedule, drug developers lose as much as $600,000 in foregone sales for small or niche products, or as much as $8 million for blockbuster drugs. And you'll see the reference there if you'd like to look that up. So here's a real visual in terms of the estimated per patient cost average